small threat and should be easy. But the fact that Yan has paused, perhaps it's not that easy. Queen h4 coming in. Is it time for black to trade on c4 right now?
It could well be. That would be the safe approach, right? I guess we're saying, Tanya, just to trade everything off on the c4 square. White is also defending that square twice, but the more pieces that leave the board, the safer the position might become for black. If you're really scared of white's light squared bishop attacking on the king side, then deflect it. That's exactly what Jan's doing. Oh dear, fated question mark. But I don't think it's a bad move. I just think it maybe wasn't objectively the most ambitious. But remember, for Jan, a draw is enough. So we can definitely forgive him playing the safest move there. And now the question is whether to trade. Maybe an argument for pushing forward in the center again, d5. But there is a pin along the d file. So double-edged stuff, you got to say. This is one of the most exciting Petrovs I've seen in a while.
I agree with you. And I saw that question mark, but I think it is the most human approach as well in the position. You see that you're going to be threatened. You on that 8-7 square, you want to try to trade off as many pieces. Another question is, do you trade the light squared bishop? Do you try to push the d pawn immediately? And Jan's got a tremendous understanding of these positions. I trust him to find his way here, David, and he does trade it off. I'm going to predict we're going to see d5 on the board. It is right there, right now.
Exactly. Good prediction, Tanya. Really principled. I think, again, a good tip for everyone at home. Just because you need a draw doesn't necessarily mean you need to just play passively, curl up into a ball. You've got to play the position, go for what's right. And actually, black's light squares were very weak due to that bishop exchange. So fight for the light squares, gain time against the opponent, especially if the opponent's king is kind of perched on one open flank like this. Push the pawns towards it. You've got to play the position. The result, that's secondary. That comes later. Then you can kind of tailor your decisions according to what you need. But yeah, Jan doing what's right. I think he was just outside of his opening prep, but that's why he spent the time. But now he's well within his comfort zone. I'm expecting the black queen to come out to b6, eyeing up a really vulnerable pawn right now. Black is more than healthy in this position, but we shouldn't neglect the other game, Tanya. Shall we zoom out of this one? Check out the bird's eye view.
Let's do it. Let's do it as moves are coming in fast and steady in that one as well. And that's the right side of our screen. Alexei Sarana in a must-win game with white. His king once again in the center is still a move away from finishing development. David, if you have to win a game and you're in this match situation, what do you make of the opening outcome? Do you think Sarana's pleased with it or not as much?
Ooh, tough question, Tanya. I don't hate White's position. I think in terms of needing a win, it's imbalanced enough. The pawn structure is far from symmetrical. Black does have a very weak pawn, a backward pawn on the c6 square, which I guess he might contemplate even capturing on the next few turns. That being said, yeah, he's just forgotten how to castle. Alexei Sarana, the last game, like you say, playing king f7. This game, I really hope he castles soon. But then again, watch out. There's going to be all sorts of tactics along this diagonal. So yeah, a lot to think about. I think objectively, black is doing extremely well. But yeah, you just need imbalance. That's number one priority in in must-win situations. And now don't castle. Definitely don't castle because checkmate in one would land on the h2 square. But Tanya, this is terrifying for white. Sarana needs to defend
It
first
really
of all,
is.
let alone win.
That's a really cool move. I like the move queen to h4, just stopping white's most obvious response. And yes, you might be provoking some pawn pushes on the king side, but then that just gives further further hooks to black. For example, a move like g3 against the mate in one that you pointed out, queen takes pawn, is a huge threat. How much do you want to play g3 here, creating all these light square weaknesses when you're in a must-win game? It's not a happy move to make.
Yeah, pawn to g3. Maybe we put this on the board. For now, there are no tactics, or at least I don't believe so, with any sacrifices because the white rook is defended, a really key point to those aggressively minded players at home. The white bishop does open up a defense against his rook. So I think the intention is just to drop back. You mentioned kind of creating holes, Tanya. It's the light squared holes. This is actually a pin on the f2 pawn. The white bishop can't really move. But now if you castle, you have to be really careful about some tactics. I'm looking at ideas like pawn to c5, overloading this knight, the bishop slightly loose, very minimum in the near future. You can bring your bishop out. Maybe black just starts with a move such as bishop e5. Black's got perfect centralization. White's king is riddled full of holes. It's like that. What's that type of cheese where it's got all the holes on the king
Blue
side right
cheese.
now?
Or is it blue cheese?
Probably. Chat, we need help there. But yeah, this just looks beautiful for Faruja. Look at the cameras as well, Tanya. He looks pretty chilled, pretty calm,
He
almost as
does.
chilled as that
Very
cheese.
very different from game one of Faruja, where you could see the tension and how things have gone wrong for him, uh, or at least very complicated in that battle, and eventually losing an exchange to make a big turnaround. But right now, with the black pieces, it feels like Faruja's done everything right. Queen h4, you're facing this move. You can't go shot castle. f2 under attack. You really don't want to play g3, creating these weaknesses around your king. You start feeling the pressure. You're not happy, and Serrana is unhappy, which is why he takes the decision to neutralize that knight going into the end game. But to me, David, it looks like you're really giving away chances to create any winning play.
That's right. It's a really reluctant decision, as you mentioned there, Tanya. He didn't do this out of choice. He did it out of necessity. He just thought he might get checkmated. And watch out, there's bishop g4 in the air now, trapping the white queen. A huge, huge threat. And if you have to take a timeout to prevent that one, there we go, pawn to h3. That means you're still not castled. And actually, even castling with the king is still terrifying. The queen will line up again on this diagonal. Oh, I really, really hate Serrano's position now. I'm expecting a move like rook to c8, maybe just a hint at pawn to c5, kicking away this beautiful white knight. Actually, Tanya, if white's knight is ever driven away, white's position collapses. Do you see him holding on, creating any chance of Serrano here?
Really tough. It's a tough battle, an uphill battle to even hold this position to a draw. I think if Alireza was in the must-win game, this is a dream position for Black. You've got the bishop pair. Your opponent's not castled yet. You don't even have a weakness in the center. The c pawn can start pushing up the board at some point. And right now, Alireza can even take the decision to trade on d4, David, and go for an opposite color bishop ending, really taking away chances for white to make any sort of winning attempt here. Bishop f5, bishop e4 to follow after that trade on d4. Alireza has got a pleasant choice to make here. Does he go for more, keeping the bishop pair, or an opposite color bishop position? What's your prediction?
Ooh, I was hoping you would tell me what you wanted here, Tanya. I think I would take, just because I'm a slight coward, and Chicken Chess Club would approve of this one. Trade and opposite color bishops most likely bank the draw, but it does feel like there may be more ambitious moves out there. Okay, your turn. To take or not to take?
I would take, but I think Alireza will not take. He's the kind of, given the match situation, we want to go into this opposite color complex, try and put our bishop on e4, and he goes for it. It is on the board.
On the board and the bar rises. So at least for Serrana, I mean, it's definitely level this position. I don't think he would win this in a classical game, but at least for Serrana, a backward pawn, one tiny weakness in the black position. The black bishop will be tied defending this pawn for a long, long time. But no knights around to kind of sit on the outposts in front of weak pawns. And if it's just bishops, then actually a slightly fractured structure isn't such a big deal. So um, yeah, what's your prediction here?
But is it fair to say that this is the best position Serrana has had all game with the white pieces?
Since move two, maybe move three. Yeah,
Fair.
it's a tough one. It's a tough position to win at least. But he's still alive. He's still got 5 minutes. So Serrana, yeah, the longer he can keep this game going, the more he might fancy his chances later. Okay,
And he's
rook
going to
trade.
do just that. He's going to rook trades on the board, but he's going to keep playing this to the end. I don't think we're going to see a queen trade by white anytime soon. Alireza on the thing. By the way, fire on the board in the other one. David, should we quickly jump over with Ivic, also in a must-win situation? But it looks like Jan Nepomniachtchi has, in fact, found his rhythm and how he's the one who's dominating that game. Take a look at that position. That white king, it looks like it should be getting checkmated anytime. Meanwhile, Black's king feeling super safe.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick comparison. Like you said, Tanya, we don't even need to calculate. We just compare the kings. Black's king behind a wall of pawns. White's king. I don't even know what happened to its a pawn. Actually, we saw white a pawn kind of capture on b3 a bit earlier. Yeah, if the black queen ever lands on this square on a1, it's just game over. First, he's trading off. And what is the path forward? How is he going to finish after queen takes rook, after a recapture? Oh, wow, just queen to a4. It's coming in.
Exactly. Queen a4 is the move, and you can block it with knight b2, but then the queen, I think, goes further to a3, and this might be just game over in the next three moves. Queen a4, a deadly threat of a mate in one. And I think Jan Nepomniachtchi knows. He looks sideways. He knows he's got the job done. He knows he's got this in the bag. Is there a move like queen to g4 trying to threaten a mate in one? Does that help white at all in this position?
Ooh, that's really clever. Tanya, I do wonder whether black can just push a pawn to g6 and go for the same exact plan. Queen a4 is such a deadly threat. As long as black doesn't get checkmated himself, he should be winning. But yeah, white has to look for exactly what you're suggesting. Some kind of counterattack, some kind of trap. Um, Bishop takes
Doesn't help.
d4, maybe?
I think queen takes rook just loses on the spot to queen a4. So you have to find an alternative in this position. Queen takes rook is checkmate for
Let's
white. And
quickly
that's
show
why
that.
Vich is taking his time. Let's show this, David.
Yeah, queen takes e2, queen a4 is deadly. There's a pin on the b file, so the black queen is untouchable. You can't even deflect the black rook away because actually the e8 square is covered by the white queen, so no checks. And like you said, knight b2, queen a3. It continues checkmate either on b2 or on the a1 square once the white knight moves. So that's the dilemma facing Ivic. He cannot play the most natural move, and if he can't do that, he's still the exchange down. I was actually going to suggest bishop takes d4, Tanya, but rook takes c2 might just be lights out. Just eliminating the defender of this pawn. And again, the white king doomed. It's toast. Is this over?
David, you've done your puzzle rush today. Rook takes pawn. I love it. You take away a key defender in this position. It's not about material. It is about that white king. And yeah, Nepomniachtchi's coming for it.
He is. He's so close now. Even tactics like queen takes b3 in the air in the near future, depending on what white does. I don't see it.
And Ivic is burning time right now, but I don't think it really matters at all. There is no defense in the position. It's just hard to even come up with a move. You can threaten a checkmate in one for g7 with a move like queen g4 or queen g3, but g6 just keeps black's king completely defended. Yana Pomnashi there with the bob of his head. He knows that this is all over. He's done everything right in this one. David, I think this game has been completely dominated by Yan. This has been his best game of the tournament so far.
Definitely. Jan today, he's clicked up a gear. He's on another level. Yesterday, he just didn't look like he was fully focused. Today, he's looked determined. He's cool. He's calm. He's taken his chances. That killer instinct is back. Your line, good prediction, Tanya. Queen g4, g6 on the board.
But
The
what's
problem is what
next?
next?
It just delays the inevitable.
1 minute 28. Yeah, Ivic. I mean, we're praising Jan. Ivic, on the other hand, he's been phenomenal the last 3-4 days, but poor opening choice, I think, in this one. Maybe it was just better to play anything non-theoretical rather than go into his opponent's home territory. Nepomniachtchi's probably played hundreds and hundreds of practice games in candidates World Championship training matches just in this variation alone. So, yeah, I think a flawed strategy in the early stages here, and this is the result, unfortunately. Top level chess is tough, Tanya.
It's tough. And the Petrov defense with Jan playing it out is even tougher. The guy just knows everything about the opening. He knows when to go aggressive. He knows how to shut down the play. Jan Nepomniachtchi is unbreakable almost when it comes to this opening. And it just feels like Ivic had it on the wrong end from the start. He goes under the 1 minute mark, but no amount of time on the clock can save him. With all the threats against White's king, the queen lining up on the A file, rook takes pawn in the air. Yana Famnashi is having a great time right now.
Yeah, he's enjoying life. He's got that boss pose on the camera, Tanya. When a player leans back, folds their arms, they're like, yeah, I got this. I got this. And both players know at this point. 15 seconds for Ivic.
And he's flexing. It's the boss pose. He does his stretch. He knows that this is over. And as Ivic goes down to 6 seconds, I don't even think he's going to be in time to make the next move. Well, he does it. Bishop takes pawn. Your idea on the board. Are we going to see the next sacrifice? Rook takes pawn. Is that going to be Jan's choice?
Wow. He finds an even better one, Tanya. Queen takes knight. There was a pin. There was a win. It's match over. And goodbye to Velimir Ivic after such a heroic run to Division 1. But Jan, in the end, showing his authority, showing his real class there, Tanya.
Absolutely. Farmer's temporary class is permanent, and Jan Nepomniachtchi takes the match in the loser's bracket. And what style he did it in that game too. Quite the game by him. For Ivic, a standout performance in the